Hello, Dr. Slusher and fellow classmates. I'm happy to be here with you this week to discuss the assigned reading and topics for week number 4. Some common themes I noted in this week's reading material related to the importance of physical activity. First, I appreciated the suggestions for attainable goals for physical activity. One of them made me want to take my dogs for a walk, which I will do after I post this discussion. The information regarding physical fitness goals was supported by the World Health Organization's recommendation for physical activity of health, which was issued on January 1st, 2010. Differences were noted that children and youth ages 5 to 17 should participate in physical activity for an hour every day, but adults 18 and older are only recommended to participate in 10 minutes of moderately intense physical activity per week or 75 minutes of high-intensity activity. Lee et al.'s 2011 article about obesity and physical activity was insightful. I was very interested to learn that physical activity status positively impacted health more than a healthy body mass index. Likewise, a large BMI is not as important as physical activity is to the individual. This was illustrated in Lee et al.'s 2011 research showing that one MET fitness improvement was associated with 15% and 19% lower all-cause mortality risks. And furthermore, increased BMI had less of an impact than one MET. Lee et al. 2011 explained that a 1-unit BMI increase led to a 6% and 8% higher all-cause mortality risk in cardiovascular disease mortality. It was also interesting to note that continuing to improve one's physical activity level led to more significant health improvements than simply maintaining the current fitness status. Cole et al.'s 2012 article tied all the information together that I read throughout this week by discussing the impact of physical inactivity and the need for creating awareness and implementing better activity throughout the world, and strategies to successfully do so. I liked how their article pointed out that diet is commonly related to obesity, but physical activity is more of an afterthought, and the two, both diet and exercise, should be considered more as a dynamic duo that needs to remain together to improve and maintain health. The lecture material was valuable for discussing the impact of physical activity on health and disease. I appreciated the insights on contributing factors that led to physical activity levels at the individual, social, and environmental levels. And I think the core of global improvement is a foundational need for physical activity education at every level. So it is so important that we as professionals get out into our communities and become the leaders and advocates for physical activity. So the questions this week, following that, what are your perceptions of the behavior change session this week? I really enjoyed this week's one-on-one session about physical activity, behavior change. My son Honor is a very active 13-year-old, so he did not need physical activity intervention to increase his level of activity, but he has a goal to improve his bench press 1RM. Therefore, he did some behavior modification to increase his training, and he was really enthusiastic about his goal and very excited to reach it. He really wants to be able to bench press his own body weight, and he's communicated with me for a long time that he's been wanting to do that. So I was glad that this assignment provided the opportunity to sit down with him and discuss his goal in a more formal way, more formal setting, and I could educate him. Next question, what are the implications for your personal life and or professional work? Well, unfortunately, I've fallen off the wagon, so to speak, when it comes to fitness. My schooling takes up a lot of my time, but the presented information from this week's lesson was impactful and it hit home. I feel determined to start doing better about getting my exercise in daily, and the information from this week will be used in my professional career because I'm reminded again about the recommendations for physical activity. That constant reminder makes the knowledge stick. I can also share with my students and others who come to me for counsel about how physical activity impacts health and how to implement it at the individual, social, and environmental levels. And as an author, I'll be able to put that into my books. Next question, what would you identify as the most important health benefits of exercise? Well, for me personally, the most important health benefit from participating in exercise is life longevity and lowering chronic disease risk. I want to be around for my family, my children, my grandchildren, and I want them to be with me, and also my husband. It would be miserable to live a long life with sickness and discomfort and physical limitations. So physical activity is important to maintain proper health. Okay, next question. In terms of morbidity and mortality, is it generally better to be A, active and overfat, or B, inactive and precisely at a normal weight? Well, according to Lee et al. In 2011, it is better to be overweight and physically active than healthier weight and physically inactive. So many more factors impact one's health than fatness. In addition, one may have increased fatness but appear thin, such as older adults with type 2 diabetes. Just over 10% of people with type 2 diabetes have a normal weight, according to the CDC's 2024 National Diabetes Statistics Report. Furthermore, urbanization brings many environmental factors that negatively impact health. Physical activity has a huge role in mitochondrial health and is the biggest contributor to disease prevention and protection against environmental influence. This is partly because exercise is an antioxidant and a mitochondrial booster. According to Nicholson 2014, Parikh et al. 2009, Ray et al. 2021, Valenti and Vaca 2022, and Wallace 2005. Without sufficient amounts of healthy mitochondria, the body will suffer all types of dysfunction and disease, regardless of BMI and regardless of someone's size. All right, next question. Why is it difficult to measure physical activity levels? Well, there are a number of reasons for this. Physical activity is subjective and can be based on the individual's perception of intensity, memory, recall, or other things. Therefore, self-reporting measures may be inaccurate representations of what is scientifically accepted. In research, there also may be noncompliance or poor adherence to protocols that lead to incomplete data. And these can include not wearing activity monitors or failing to keep accurate activity logs. Another reason could be the diversity of activities. Different types of physical activities like aerobic exercise or strength training, recreational activities, they all vary in intensity and duration. And the full range of activities that people participate in leaves a lot of room for intensity discrepancies, especially when using monitoring devices or self-report tools that report certain activities inaccurately. Another reason activity measurement tools also vary in accuracy and comparability. These include accelerometers, pyrometers, heart rate monitors, and self-report questionnaires. And contextual factors like weather, wind, time constraints, and others can impact accuracy. All right, the next question is, what evidence-based approaches exist for effectively encouraging more active lifestyles? There are several social and behavioral change models that encourage living a more active lifestyle, and we have seen them through these past few weeks in this class. Applying a behavior model to a physical activity is invaluable for the individual and has proven highly successful for positive changes in activity levels. I like Cole et al.'s 2012 plan to improve public policy and planning, develop leadership and advocacy, and focus on professional development and training, and also apply better surveillance measures in communities, all for improving physical activity. And this is why it's really important we get out as professionals and become those leaders and advocates. I'm especially a fan of the built environment factors that encourage physical activity. I believe that with the way the world is always in chaos, people need more time and space to get away. And building green spaces in communities, using land space more effectively will draw people into nature and encourage outdoor movement. So I'm definitely a proponent for nature hikes and walks and getting outdoors and getting fresh air. Those are good for the soul, good for the body, good for the heart. So that is all I have this week for you. Following my comments will be my references, and I look forward to our discussions. Thanks, everyone.